You're listening to Catholic Chicago. Ahead, the Archdiocese of Chicago brings you programs about the people, events, and issues that touch our lives. Welcome to Catholic Chicago.
Good morning, and welcome to Mission Matters Live, a program focused on promoting a spirit of mission among the people of God in the Archdiocese of Chicago. My name is Megan Mio. I'm director of the Global Mission Office here in the Archdiocese of Chicago, and our engineer this morning is Mike. You're listening to WNDZ 750 AM. Mission Matters airs on the second Wednesday of the month at 8 a.m. Central. This month, we are blessed to have guests in studio with us. We have Juan Manuel Pineda, a musician and songwriter who is also an hermano mayor, or older brother, with Nuestros Pequeños Hermanos. He is visiting us here in Chicago and sharing his story of growing up at the NPH home in El Salvador. We also have Heather Anderson, who is the Director of Donor Relations with NPH USA, and she works right here in Chicago at the U.S. National Headquarters of NPH. We will learn a little bit more about Nuestros Pequeños Hermanos during our conversation, but as an initial introduction, NPH, or Nuestros Pequeños Hermanos, transforms the lives of vulnerable children in Central and South America and the Caribbean, both inside and outside NPH homes, ensuring that they have a safe and nurturing place to live, an education, clothing, healthcare, and a strong family support system. We're definitely going to talk more about family. And so, now that we're all ready, you've heard a little bit about Nuestros Pequeños Hermanos. Good morning, Juan Manuel and Heather, and thank you for being with us here today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting us and to speak about NPH USA and NPH, of course, my family. Because, for me, NPS is very important in my life. They give me a lot of opportunities, and I'm so happy to be here and talk about. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Megan. We are so blessed to be here. We feel honored to be able to share NPH's mission and more importantly, Juan's story as well.
Mm-hmm, of course. And we will be hearing about your story in the course of our conversation.
Thank you. Okay.
But I wanted to say just another word about NPH and the Archdiocese of Chicago, because you have a unique relationship, given that the headquarters here is in Chicago. Mm-hmm. But I also want to note that parishes and communities in our archdiocese have been supporters of NPH for many years, far beyond the work of my office. But in particular, the Global Mission Office has been working with NPH since about 2018 with our summer mission appeals. Representatives of NPH have visited some of our parishes many times now. And in fact, just earlier this year in 2023, representatives, and I think yourself, Heather, was one of the representatives, visited two of our parishes, Saints Viator and Wenceslas in Irving Park, and St. Oscar Romero in Back of the Yards in Chicago, both parishes. So those of you who are at those parishes might remember those visits. So I hope we can begin our conversation talking a little bit with both of you to hear a little of your stories. So Juan Manuel, you're visiting here in Chicago. You've been here maybe about a week or so.
Yes. I'm visiting to here from Chicago to help the NPH, and I was visiting some schools and families, and for me it's very amazing because I have a lot of memories when I was here for my first time. Now this is my second time, and
this is only your second visit to Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I'm so happy. I was talking to Heather to explain something that when I was to hear. I was for here first. My first time was for group dancing and music, and they invited us to give a little presentation for an MPH USA, and then I have so many surgeries in here. I was for here for 3 years, I think. So just traveling to El Salvador, to Chicago,
Back and forth.
back and forth. Yeah, you're right. And for me, is I love this city. Wow, is because I remember when I was here, and I have a lot of memories, and I have a lot of friends too.
And friends, wonderful. Yeah. So now, in this trip, you've been making the rounds. You've been visiting different communities, individuals. What have you been doing?
Yeah, we have tried to. Let me. Okay.
Sure.
I have been having a great time. I have been helping with fundraising for MPH USA and sharing my story and my music. We have visited church, school, and other non-profit organization for those like me and donors. And yes, I have to been to Chicago before us, but now for many years.
Yeah,
So.
it was a while ago, the first time that you came.
Yeah.
And so, I think that it's a beautiful gift that you share your story with us here in Chicago. And I hope that it's a good experience, that you're seeing friends again and making these new connections with this new visit. So thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to hear more about your story and how you ended up here in Chicago originally, and just a little bit later in the show. That's just a little note for our listeners. Keep listening because you want to hear about how did he end up in Chicago. But Heather, welcome to you too.
Thank you.
As the Director of Donor Relations, I wonder, you've been involved with this tour that Juan Manuel's been on and helping him get connected to people and share his story and sharing the NPH story. So I wondered if you could say a little bit more about Nuestros Pequeños Hermanos. What does this name mean? And tell us a little bit more about the background of NPH.
Excellent. Thank you. So NPH stands for Nuestros Pequeños Hermanos, which means our little brothers and sisters. And a little bit of background about NPH. We're going all the way back. Next year will be our 70th anniversary. So we were founded in 1954 by a man called Father William Wasson. So Father Wasson was originally from Arizona, but went to Mexico and was in soul searching. And while he was in Mexico, he became ordained in Cuernavaca. And was working and, serving a little parish and community there. And one day, somebody stole from the collection box. And so Father Wasson was like, who would steal from the church? And so he really felt kind of broken and upset about this. And, so he went to the police and he said, somebody stole from the church and, can we look into this? And they said, oh, yes, we're going to catch the culprit. So a couple days go by, and they contact Father Wasson, and they say, oh, we found the guilty person. And he's like, oh, okay. And they said, do you want to come down to the station to meet him? And so Father Wasson said, yes, I would like to ask him, this person, why he did this, and how could he do this to the church? So when Father Wasson arrived, he was greeted by a 12-year-old boy by the name of Carlos. And immediately, Father Wasson knew. Father Wasson said, this boy did not steal to be malicious. This boy needed food. Carlos didn't have a safe home. He didn't have any money for food. He wasn't receiving an education. And so Father Wasson approached the judge and said, you know what? Give me custody of him. Let me teach him right from wrong. Let me provide him with the basic needs. Well, it was 1954. Things were very different back then. They said yes. A week later, they sent him more boys. They thought this was such a great idea. And by the end of the year, he had 32 boys in his care. Wow. So NPH was born. Yeah.
So he started just with one child, and it grew and grew. And that was 70 years ago next year.
Yeah, next year.
Which is, it's grown tremendously since that time. Yeah. And the name, Our Little Brothers and Sisters, Nuestros Pequeños, this is in reference to scripture passage. Am I right?
You are right. It is from Scripture of Matthew 25:40. And so Father Wasson created this name based on the Bible verse from Matthew. And it says, truly, I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me.
Yeah. And so it's very important passage. In fact, we heard it recently, I think, in one of our recent liturgies on Sunday. Our littlest brothers and sisters, this is what we're called to care for. This is truly missionary work, and it's founded by a Catholic priest. I know that it's bigger now than ever before, and people of all faiths, people of all these different parts of the world are welcome. We're going to hear a little bit more about NPH, Nuestros Pequeños Hermanos, in just a moment, but it's time for our first break. We'll be right back to continue our conversation with Juan Manuel Pineda and Heather Anderson about Nuestros Pequeños Hermanos. Stay tuned.
Catholic Charities accepts car donations? If you're ready to free up space in your garage and put a stop to all those expenses that go along with owning a car, we will gratefully accept your donation, whether the car is running or not. You choose a pickup time that is convenient for you, and we will make the donation as easy as possible free of charge. You'll receive a charitable donation receipt as well. We accept all types of vehicles nationwide, and you will know that your donation is made to Catholic Charities, an agency you can trust. To learn more about donating your car, call 877-786-4483. That's 877-786-4483. Thank you.
I can't imagine myself going into any other school.
Our school fosters growth by being a backbone to our family.
My kids are incredibly well-rounded. I see a lot of kindness in them on a daily basis.
One of the things I think Catholic schools do well is personalize the learning experience. You can hear joy in the classrooms.
I feel that I'm happy that I am in this kind of school.
Our school communities provide students with academic excellence and character education in a supportive and stable learning environment. Come see for yourself. Visit archchicago.org/findaschool.
Catholic Charities' Family Self-Sufficiency Program has assisted thousands of single parents who are working to become more self-sufficient through education and employment opportunities. Our experienced case managers accompany participants for up to 5 years on their journey to identify, address, and break down barriers to improving their quality of life and achieving meaningful goals for themselves and for their families. Professional, compassionate assistance is offered in a safe and trusting environment as participants develop the skills needed to become financially stable and able to support themselves. Every achievement starts with a decision to try. To learn more about Catholic Charities' Family Self-Sufficiency Program, call 847-782-4233 or visit CatholicCharities.net.
Welcome back to Mission Matters Live. I am Megan Mio, Director of the Global Mission Office in the Archdiocese of Chicago. And I'm here with Heather Anderson and Juan Manuel Pineda, both of whom are representing the amazing missionary work of Nuestros Pequeños Hermanos. We're going to learn a little more about Juan Manuel's story in just a moment. But just to get us started again in our next segment, I'd like to ask Heather to remind us about the work of NPH and all the different places and where homes are located, centers are located, to see really how big this really has become. You mentioned in the last segment the starting part with just one child and now then 30 children, and that was 1954. So today, what is NPH working
So today we're serving children and families in 9 different countries in Latin America and the Caribbean. So we have homes in Bolivia, Dominican Republic, El Salvador, Guatemala, Haiti, Honduras, Mexico, Nicaragua, and Peru.
Well done.
Yes. So Father Wasson, he just, he had a vision, and, he would tell people, I want to open a new home. And they said, we don't have the money yet, Father Wasson. And he said, don't worry. We will find it. I know when people hear our need, we will find it. Yeah. And you know what? He did. He always found the money and the funds to continue the great work. So basically what we've done is we started out with a residential program, and now 70 years later we have grown to be able to support both children living inside our homes and children living outside of our homes. So we have all kinds of community programs. We are making sure that children are receiving education, health care, food, shelter, all the basic needs to have a healthy childhood and be able to focus on learning and, getting them, like education, helps to break the cycle of poverty.
Oh. And these are children, some of whom are orphans. They don't have parents or family members that can support them. And many experience terrible traumas in their lives.
Yeah. So, we have some, it's all the vulnerable populations. So children that have lost their parents, children that have been abandoned by their parents, also children that have been, living in at-risk situations. And, many years ago, parents would arrive and say, Father Wasson, take our children. We don't have the resources. Give them opportunities. Nowadays, we're able to change that. So now we tell parents and families, stay together. You have a healthy relationship. You have a safe home. They just need a little bit of extra help. So we provide scholarships for these children. We make sure that they have medical care. They are receiving food benefits if they need it. Sometimes it's a stipend. So, every family situation is a little bit different, and we try to just focus on that and what makes them successful.
Yeah, what they really need.
What they really need.
Now, I also understand that there's some values involved in being part of the NPH family. And speaking of family, I myself was lucky enough to attend a fundraiser earlier this year and heard the theme, "This is what family looks like." And that is actually the title of our interview today, because NPH is just such an amazing family, an example of family. So if you'd say a little bit about what family means for NPH and those values.
Yeah, definitely. Please. So, our family doesn't look like the traditional family that some think of when they think of family. Our family is this massive global family. So we have fundraising offices all over the world. The fundraising office in the United States is the number one source for funding for NPH International that then, distributes the money against, for our 9 homes. But we have offices in Canada, we have offices in Italy, we have offices in Europe, and all of them are fundraising together to support these children. The family, then it goes beyond that. So that's just our fundraising. But then we have our donors. We have our volunteers. And our donors and our volunteers are what make what make up our family and what are able to help keep our mission going. So we have volunteers that give a year of their time. We have, also our donors that go and they visit visit our homes, visit the kids. And so family is, this global family that's part of our children that live at the home. Families, our children that live with their families, our donors, our different fundraising offices, and all coming together to make it super special.
And then for those who do live at NPH homes, I believe, and maybe beyond that too, there are these value systems that Father Wason had instilled, which remind me of what they are. They are love, unconditional love.
Unconditional love, faith. Security, forgiveness, and work.
And responsibility.
Work and
believe.
responsibility.
That, like you said, that Father Wason's vision was to really help children kind of learn right from wrong and be able to sustain themselves, and sharing and learning how to respect one another and to kind of grow up in a safe place allows kids to then become who God wants them to be.
Yeah, and become productive citizens.
thing.
So, each of the children have chores. So, and depending on where, what age they are, but they all wash their own clothing. They, have their locker where they put everything, folded and perfect. And they're always so proud to show you that. Washing dishes, helping cook, taking care of some of the younger children. Sometimes it's serving in the chapels that are on site, working in the garden, working on the farm. So they all have a chore. Every single child, actually, when they finish high school, they give a year of service back to the home. Wow. And so that's basically to say thank you for everything that they received from NPH. And so they, they help out around the home. Sometimes it's, again, babysitting their younger NPH siblings. Sometimes it's, just helping out around the home with the special needs kids. Every child takes on a different role during that year of service.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing to see people keep it going, paying it forward, continuing to show that love to the next generation. Now, Juan Manuel, I introduced you earlier as an hermano mayor, an older brother, because you were one of those pequeños at the home in El Salvador. So I wonder if you can tell us a little bit about your story. Yeah. How did you wind up at NPH? What happened, please?
Well, let me talk about a little bit about for my story.
Sure.
And for me, sometimes it's very hard to speak about to my story because I remember all when I was a child, But I'm fine. I'm fine because it is my life. It is part into my life, and I need to remember that. Because sometimes we don't forget a lot.
It makes you who you are today.
Yeah, and for me, when I speak for my story, I'm being more strong, because so you understand a lot of situations. It's very different when I travel to other cities, and in El Salvador we don't have too much benefits for a person like me. Is because everything is different. But for me, it's good to speak about my story. At the age of 2, my home caught on fire. I was sleeping in my bed. One of the beams fell on my legs, and I was not able to get up. The bed and I caught on fire. I have serious burns on my legs. And they could not be saved. They had to amputate my legs at the hip, if you see me. Wow. So I have a scar for my body about the accident. For me, I'm a miracle because I remember that. I don't remember all because I was 2 years.
Young, yeah.
And also, for me, I have died. And
you could have died easily from that.
Yeah.
At that age, too.
Yeah. In the fire, but I'm alive. I live now.
Yeah.
And I survived many challenges in my life when I should not have. God wants me here.
Must be so.
Yeah.
So you did survive. They amputate your legs.
Yeah.
And you were living at the time with your mother and siblings? Is that correct? So your mother was taking care of you, and then I'm afraid I heard that another tragedy struck you, correct?
Yeah, you're right. Let me, for me, was hard, because I was child. And after that, about to the accident, I continued to live with my mom, with my sister and brothers. And for me, it was hard when she died. But let me speak about something like that for my mom. My mother did a good job of taking care of me and teaching me. But when I was 5 years old, she died of ulcer. Was easy to access in my country. She could have been treated with medicines and maybe could have longer.
Yeah, an ulcer seems like a trivial thing for someone to die from, but there was no access to good medical care for your family.
When she died, the medicine, now that everything is changed. They can be so now we have a good doctors, but when
at the time,
but
so you were very young, 5 years old, after having already experienced the tragedy of the fire, and then to lose your mother. Wow. So I mean, that's formative. that's huge. So then your brothers and sisters cared for you?
Yeah.
What happened?
Let me talk. When my older sibling went tried to take care of me, but it was too hard.
Yeah.
I was sent into a government orphanage, and I was there for about 5 years.
Wow.
It was a terrible living situation. Thankfully, soon after that, I was brought to Nuestros Pequeños Hermanos in El Salvador. I was 19. I was 9 years old. Sorry, I'm old. I was 9 years old when I stayed a new life. My first 9 years were too difficult, but NPH learned me so much.
Yeah. Okay. Now I'm going to ask you to pause there before you speak too much more about your life in NPH, because I want our listeners to be looking forward to the next thing. But so you experienced a lot in those first 9 years of your life that I think made you somebody who could benefit a lot from living at an NPH home.
Yeah.
And we're going to hear a little bit more about what that was like living at the NPH home right after this break. It's time for another break. So we'll be back in just a moment to talk about family and Nuestros Pequeños Hermanos. Don't go away.
Caring adults make all the difference in the lives of adolescents. Catholic Charities understands this, and our mentorship programs provide a free opportunity for young adults to spend time with volunteers who genuinely care about them. This program is ideal for youth aged 9 through 12 who may need support navigating the challenges of childhood and early adolescence. Our amazing volunteers serve as friends who help youth recognize their strengths and empower them to reach their full potential. Catholic Charities conducts a thorough background check on every volunteer, and our program coordinator closely monitors and supports every relationship. Mentoring is a fun after-school program that can help young adults build confidence and enjoy fun activities with their peers, too. To learn more, visit CatholicCharities.net or call 312-655-7970 in Cook County and 847-782-4224 in Lake County. We're connecting youth with great role models. Join us today.
I am a seminarian.
The church needs compassionate and well-trained priests to help guide each of us through life.
What inspires me, what draws me always to the priesthood is continue to see priests be a beacon of hope for other people.
You can play a part in the education of these young men as they prepare for a life of service to others.
I want to be that beacon of hope too, and it sets my heart on fire.
To support our seminarians, make your gift at archchicago.org/seminarian fund or call 312-534-7959.
The cemetery ministry is a core ministry of our Catholic faith tied to the corporal works of mercy. It's comforting to know that our Catholic cemeteries are caring for the remains of our loved ones awaiting the resurrection. There are 44 Archdiocese of Chicago Catholic cemeteries willing to help you in your time of loss. Call 708-449-6100 or visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org. Catholic Cemeteries, serving the Catholic community since 1837.
You're listening to Catholic Chicago. Ahead, the Archdiocese of Chicago brings you programs about the people, events, and issues that touch our lives. Thanks for letting us be part of your morning. Now again, Catholic Chicago.
Welcome back to Mission Matters Live. I am Megan Mio, Director of the Global Mission Office here in the Archdiocese of Chicago, and you're listening to WNDZ 750 AM. I am here with Juan Manuel Pineda and Heather Anderson, two representatives of Nuestros Pequeños Hermanos. Juan Manuel is an hermano mayor, or older brother, who lived in the NPH home in El Salvador, and Heather is Director of Donor Relations for NPH here in USA. They have joined us here today in studio to tell us the beautiful and inspiring story of what family looks like for the Nuestros Pequeños Hermanos family. So before the break, we heard sort of the first chapter, maybe, I don't know, of the story of Juan Manuel, your heartbreaking story of your childhood. So I'll just give a quick summary for listeners who are joining us right now. Juan Manuel, living in El Salvador, he lost his legs at the age of 2 due to a fire in his home. And then you tragically lost your mother as well at 5 years old. Yeah. After being cared for by siblings and then living in a governmental orphanage, of which the experience was very poor, you finally made your way to the Nuestros Pequeños Hermanos home in El Salvador at the age of 9, 10, something in there.
10.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So now you were just beginning to tell us, and I cut you off. So now's your chance to tell us what was life like at the NPH home when you arrived.
Well, life was very different at NPH. That tios and tias were nice to me, and their other kids were nice to me. NPH taught me how to become independent, nice, and person with good values about most. Yeah. Importantly, NPH taught me about the faith in God.
Yeah,
and God is the most important things in our life. At the NPH, they taught us to be ourselves and to do our best.
Yeah.
And for me, about your questions, the family for NPAs, they do a good job to try to, is that they try to give it the family we don't have. Because if you know about my story, I don't. My mother died, but for me, when I was come to NPAs, that was my second family, and of course was my best family, and they give me all If they give me the opportunity to study and to many things they give me.
Yeah.
And now I always say, thank you, God, for this opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it became a place where you belonged. You weren't different than anybody else. You were a part of this family. You were another member, another hermano, another pequeño, like everyone else. And so they accepted you and didn't question and give you every opportunity. Is this truly what a family does?
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Juan, can you share the story of when you first arrived at NPH and how you were welcomed?
Well, for me, it was very interesting. I remember when I came to NPH, one of the kids wasn't friend of me. I don't know if he's correct.
Mm-hmm.
And he come to me, and he said, "Me, don't worry, Juan. You are like me, and you are my brother, and I help you to you, and everything you want." For me, it was very wow, because I was a child, and when he said me that words, for me was very especially.
Yeah, you became close immediately to people that were willing to help you with whatever you needed when you first arrived.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you also grew to love music, and that became important as well as faith. To you during your time at NPH.
Mm-hmm.
We might be hearing a little more about that a little bit later in the show as well. But I want us to talk as well about your experience of traveling to Chicago, to the U.S.
Oh.
Tell us about that, please.
Okay, thank you. At the NPH, my talent for music was discovered in NPH, El Salvador. Was discovering NPS our music program. I was encouraged to get out involved with the music group. I found that the music brought me peace and like it too. The music group I had to change to travel to United States to help sharing the NPH missions and help raising funds for NPH brothers and sisters. The musicians and dancers stay with host families.
A host family.
A host families during our stay. While it was in Chicago, I met doctors because if you, when I was born with the cleft palate.
A cleft palate, right? Yes.
But for me, it was really hard because when I try eating something or breathe or drinking, what's hard for me when I was child. And someone doctors, we have MPS have sometimes fiestas in gala, and they invited us to represent them to El Salvador, and I saw the doctors from Shriners Hospital, and I remember one of the doctors, he come to me and he say, "Juan, I would like to help you. You are good. It's my if you see me," and they can give me the opportunity to travel to here, and they give me the surgeries in Shriners Hospital.
Yeah.
So if you see me, I talk to Heather. I am a handsome smile now.
You have a wonderful smile.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! So it was coming to Chicago when you were able to have actual health care to deal with the cleft palate. And how old were you at the time? You said that you came to the U.S. because of the musical group, right?
I was 19 years old when I was here for the first time. And then I have the surgeries when I was 21 years old.
Okay,
and then,
wow.
So
it was the music that brought you here. You were performing with the musical group from NPH.
I'm sorry?
You were with the musical group, and that's what brought you to the U.S. to sing and perform and share the good works, the good news about what NPH is doing with that group. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
The possibilities, the opportunities that can come from living here. And you said, too, that you had a host family while you were here in Chicago.
Yeah.
You still have a relationship with them today?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, for me, it's remembered all because I was a long time when I was here. It was in 2011.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that
And now when I saw the family's home, and I was very happy, and and we celebrate my birthday in November 30. And they give me a little party. And I was talking to the Beacher's father Ron, and someone friend Sammy. Sammy, he's my brother from MPH too.
Mm-hmm.
He living here in Chicago, and he's amazing guy.
Yeah.
We always talking about MPAs from the new families we have now,
Right.
and I'm happy. I was very happy to see a lot of friends again.
Wonderful memories, right? Yeah, and all these
Yeah.
wonderful friendships and family relationships, not just friendships, but brothers and sisters. Now, I just want to mention, before we go to our last break, you mentioned Padre Ron, who people may know as Bishop Ron Hicks. He's was involved with NPH for many years, has been, I don't know, he's probably had a billion titles, right? But it continues to be a big supporter and a friend and Padre for you as well. And so listeners, if you ever want to learn anything about NPH, if you ever want to get Bishop Hicks excited and talk about Nuestros Pequeños Hermanos, he's a wonderful friend and minister and leader here too. So a great connection. So it is time for our final break, but we'll be back in just a moment to continue our conversation about Nuestros Pequeños Hermanos. Come right back.
Community is core to Catholic Charity's founding mission. For more than 100 years, we have met people and families where they are, serving anyone in need, regardless of their faith, gender, race, or ethnicity. As our world absorbs the economic, political, and social aftershocks of the pandemic, 50% or more of the 6 million people living in Cook and Lake counties have little or no savings. They are a paycheck away from zero. We are deeply grateful to everyone in the Catholic Charities community who partners with us to alleviate the suffering of the people we serve and offer them a better path forward. We are witnessing a message of mercy and hope to a world very much in need. Learn more at CatholicCharities.net.
This is year 44 for me teaching. When I started here, there were teachers here that had taught me when I was a student. Now I'm the old person. Right now, I teach junior high math. I love when kids find what I'm teaching to be fun and they get it. I see that light bulb go off and it's a thrill. People are always amazed. What? You're here for 44 years? It's hard for me to believe, frankly. I love what I do. Every summer I think, oh, I miss the classroom. Even on the weekends, I think I can't wait to get back on Monday and teach those quadratic equations.
Shape the next generation of leaders. Teach. Apply today at archchicago.org/schooljobs.
Do you have an old bicycle that's not being used? Consider donating it to Catholic Charities Veterans Bike Project of Lake County. Skilled volunteers are refurbishing bicycles to make them safe and ready to be used by veterans to get to and from their new places of work. We also gratefully accept financial contributions that are used to purchase bike helmets and other safety accessories. Our veterans have faithfully served the United States, and now it is our privilege to serve them. For more information on the Veterans Bike Project of Lake County, call 847-782-4219. That's 847-782-4219.
Welcome back to Mission Matters Live. I am Megan Mio, Director of the Global Mission Office, and I'm here with Heather Anderson and Juan Manuel Pineda, representatives of Nuestros Pequeños Hermanos, or Our Little Brothers and Sisters, a missionary organization that transforms the lives of vulnerable children in Central, South America, as well as the Caribbean. As we are coming to the end of our conversation, I want to make sure that we discuss one big part of Juan Manuel's life, which is music. You're a musician, you're a composer. Yeah. You've come through many ups and downs in life. And as we said earlier, it's what makes you who you are. It makes you a joyful person, a person of service, like so many of the pequeños that came out of NPH. Yeah. You give back. It's a beautiful thing. And I know that music was a part of your experience in NPH.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you're right.
So I was wondering if you can talk a little bit about, you're a composer, you write music. What inspires you? What do you write about?
Well, my inspiration has always been my mother and NPH, and I hope all behind her very thankful for everything that God has given me and says He's given me.
No. Everything that God has given you, you're grateful.
Yeah, because I always I use this word a lot, but because they represent me, is that I never give up. You know,
and neither did God.
Yeah, because sometimes everybody has a problems in his life. And then I always say, God, give me the opportunity to continue to sing and to play and to help to somebody if they need help or something like that. And I say, please, God, give me these opportunities, because we never know what happened. I have a lot of friends in El Salvador, and friends, they always ask me, Juan, why you smile every day? I look you and you look happy. And I say, because I'm happy. And I say, wow, you look a strong man. You look bad. You look happy. And for me, it's good, because I know it's hard. It's hard, because sometimes I saw what people has a different problems. Right. But for me, I always say thank you to God.
Right. Well, and I would say, too, I was just saying during the break that you're a missionary by sharing your story alone. This makes you a missionary in many other ways, too. But the joy is also a very strong characteristic of a missionary, exuding that joy and the gratefulness to all the gifts that God has given you and these opportunities to overcome so much. Now, speaking of your story and sharing it, I have with me right here a copy of the book that tells your story. Tell us about this.
Well, for me, it was a very a surprise. This is my book from the name is Music Has Legs.
Music Has Legs.
And NPH uses donor. Her name is Merlin Byrne, and my house mom drove about my life story. This book is called Music Has Legs, and we hope to connect readers to NPH and help them understand how NPH changed just like mine.
NPH changes lives. So it was your host mother who, with this local author here, wrote Music Has Legs. It tells the story of you, and I think it tells the story of a few other people whose lives were affected by your own and NPH. And it gets that story a little bit wider. And I also want to mention, before I forget, that you're here again. We mentioned at the top of the show, you're here again in Chicago for the second time, and you're staying with the same host family. Your host mother is taking care of you again. You're always part of that family, right?
It's
wonderful. Now, I don't want us to run out of time, because we want to hear one of your songs now. Please, Juan Manuel.
Thank you.
We know that you write your own things, so we'd love to hear it. So what would you like to perform for us today?
Well, I have This song is very special for me. I'm dedicated this song for God. The letter speak about faith. And you don't
About
have,
faith?
About faith, yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And it is very important because sometimes we don't feel good.
Mm-hmm.
And we always say to God, God, give me the, we have, it's sometimes we have our times hard. And this song is very, very, very especially for me to sing.
Okay, please.
The name is Yo Te Busco.
Yo Te Busco.
Yeah, Te Busco. This is the name in Spanish.
Beautiful.
Yo te busco, yo te busco con fuego en mí, adoración. Yo te busco, yo te busco, confía en mí, adoración. Te anhelo, te necesito, te amo más que a mi ser. Yo te busco, yo te busco, confía en mí, adoración. Te anhelo, te necesito, te amo más que a mi ser. Yo te busco.
Wow. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
A beautiful song. And it seems to me that the music is another way that you are healed and that you do share your story with others. A beautiful thing.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So now we've heard a little bit of a Juan Manuel story. He's just one of many, many children who have been affected by the Nuestros Pequeños Hermanos family, who are a part of that family. And Heather, you mentioned earlier, really, there's a lot of people involved in that family beyond those living in the homes or living in these different areas. The donors and everybody volunteers, everybody's part of that family as well and have been touched and changed by it. So with our last few moments, we want to be able to talk about how our listeners can get involved and can be part of the family as well. So, okay, how can people learn more about NPH?
Well, number one, they can visit our website and go to nphusa.org. On our website, we have all kinds of information. Again, if you get involved, you're helping over 8,000 children and families. And so there's many other ways. You can, number one, we always ask, please pray for our families. Please pray for our mission. Pray for our children. Number two, you can always attend event. attend an event. You can host an event, a small event in your home to share the mission of NPH with friends, with loved ones, and for yourself to learn a little bit more. You can also visit a home. So we do lead trips. We just took a trip to NPH El Salvador in November, and I was able to see Juan while I was there. And one of my colleagues will travel to Guatemala in February, and then I'll go to Honduras in June. So our website always has different trips available. Another way is to volunteer your time. You know, we're always looking for people to help us with translations. We're always looking for people to help us with admin work, to help us volunteer at events.
Yeah, and we mentioned at the top, too, that the U.S. headquarters is here in Chicago. So those who are listening, who are in the area, that's one close by place that you can
We actually just moved, and we are now calling the Civic Opera House home.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's great.
Great place to be. Right in the middle of everything too.
Right.
Yeah, so people can volunteer. This is wonderful. And now, is there anything going on right now that people should be aware of before the end of the year, perhaps?
Well, we don't have any more events. We're ending our time with events this year with one, but people can donate. We're always looking for support for year-end gifts. Help us end the year strong for the children, and you know, gifts of any size are just welcome. We always say that coming together, we are able to reach volumes, and just it's incredible what people coming together does. I mean, look now, over thousands and thousands and thousands of children. Currently, 8,000 children, and being able to do that is thanks to our supporters.
Yeah. Absolutely. And again, I come back to this is what family looks like too. You know, a family, everybody has different gifts. Everybody brings their energy and their, whoever they are to the work of the family. And I know that that's one of the big values in NPH too, is service and sharing and helping one another. So that extends beyond those living in the homes to all the donors and volunteers too. Wonderful. Well, we have just a minute left. So would you like the final word, Juan Manuel? What would you like to say to our listeners? What do you want them to know?
Well, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for helping us. And I was a pleasure to show my story about you. And please, if you can donate, please do it, because, you can help and you can change somewhat life from and someone's a child in El Salvador and Guatemala. Someone's kids just only want to continue to be a good life, and it is real. NPH changed life, and I'm here for that.
You're here to tell people about that.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. And again, I think I will just say, too, that donations are spread throughout all the 9 homes. Their children in all those different places that Heather mentioned earlier. And El Salvador is one of those places, and there are children in great need. So hopefully our listeners will look for that. So nphusa.org is that website. So thank you so much for joining us. It was great to have you here in person.
Thank you.
It was
God
a true
bless.
gift.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Juan Manuel, for sharing your story. It's an
Thank you.
honor and a blessing to us to hear it, and hopefully it is healing to you to share that. And thank you so much for sharing your music.
Thank you.
And Heather, thank you for being a connection. Heather and I have been working together for the last few months, working on those Mission Appeal visits in the summer. So it's good to meet you.
Thank you for the
person here.
opportunity. We're so honored to be here.
Wonderful. Well, I thank you and remind our listeners to look for nphusa.org to learn more about Nuestros Pequeños Hermanos. Thank you very much, and remember, always be on mission.
Join us every Monday through Friday at this time for Catholic Chicago. You can stream our programs live or listen to past programs by visiting our website, archchicago.org, and clicking on Radio TV. And please connect with Catholic Chicago on social media.